We've got a lot to talk about when it comes to the upcoming winter storms and severe weather that are about to impact a massive portion of the country. This next round of storms is going to be very different from the deep freezes and Arctic outbreaks we've been tracking over the past few weeks. You might remember how earlier this month we had widespread record-breaking cold with Arctic air plunging all the way down into the southern U.S., even bringing snow to places like Texas and the Gulf Coast. But now we're shifting into a more traditional late winter setup where we're seeing storm systems developing, snow in the northern states, and severe weather potential in the south. That doesn't mean this pattern is any less impactful, though. If anything, it could bring more active, fast-moving storms, leading to heavy snowfall, blizzards, tornadoes, and flash flooding over the next couple of weeks. There's a lot happening, and I want to break it all down so you can be fully prepared for what's coming. Right now, one of the biggest features we're watching is a powerful jet stream positioned over the northern and northeastern U.S. This jet stream is howling several thousand feet above us, bringing in intense upper-level winds and pulling down another batch of bitterly cold air from Canada. While this isn't quite as extreme as the previous Arctic blast, it's still going to create dangerous wind chills and set the stage for frequent snow squalls, lake effect snow, and even some coastal snowfall over the next few days. However, unlike last time, this cold air mass isn't plunging straight south as aggressively. That's because we have a closed off upper level low in the western U.S. that's helping to drag in warmer air from the Gulf of Mexico, the Pacific, and even parts of Mexico. This setup is going to allow for a much more dynamic weather pattern where we get a collision of warm and cold air. And that's when things start to get really active. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. Severe weather threat in Texas and Louisiana. The first big concern is severe weather, particularly in Texas and Louisiana as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. Right now, models are showing a deep trough forming over the western U.S., which will push eastward and start interacting with moisture being pulled up from the Gulf of Mexico. This is a classic setup for strong to severe thunderstorms. As the system progresses, it's looking increasingly likely that we'll see widespread severe storms, especially by Thursday afternoon and evening. On Wednesday, the storms won't be as intense, but we could still see large hail damaging winds and a few isolated tornadoes developing in central and east Texas, possibly even stretching into parts of Oklahoma and Arkansas. The real concern starts Thursday when we see a significant increase in wind shear, which is the change in wind speed and direction with height. This increase in shear is what allows storms to rotate. And when storms rotate, that's when we start talking about tornado potential. While we won't have the same level of instability that we'd see in the spring or summer, the wind dynamics alone are strong enough to support tornadoes. I'm especially concerned for areas from eastern Texas into Louisiana, Mississippi, and possibly western Alabama. Snow and dangerous travel in the Northeast and Great Lakes. At the same time, the Northeast and Great Lakes will be dealing with an entirely different problem: intense snow squalls, frigid temperatures, and hazardous travel conditions. Today alone, we're already seeing fast-moving bands of snow, and these squalls can be incredibly dangerous, especially for drivers. If you're in Connecticut, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, or New York today, be on high alert because conditions can go from clear to whiteout in a matter of seconds. Over the next few days, we'll also see lake effect snow ramping up, particularly in upstate New York, western Pennsylvania, and parts of Michigan. Some places could see over a foot of snow, and if you're traveling in these areas, expect major delays and hazardous road conditions. Flash flooding risk in the south. Back to the south, this developing storm system isn't just about severe thunderstorms. It's also going to bring torrential rain and flash flooding from Dallas all the way up into Kentucky and Tennessee. We're looking at a high probability of heavy downpours, which means the potential for dangerous flash flooding. Cities like Little Rock, Memphis, and Nashville need to be prepared because excessive rainfall could lead to flooded roads, rapid rises in rivers, and even some mudslides in hilly terrain. Major snowstorm for the Midwest and Northeast. Further north, as this system tracks east, we're also watching a significant snow event unfold in the Midwest and Northeast. Right now, Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, and Buffalo are in line to receive several inches of snow with locally higher amounts in the interior Northeast. Even Southern Ontario and Quebec could get in on the action. Snow totals are still a bit uncertain, but this is shaping up to be a solid winter storm for much of the region. By the time we hit the weekend, we could be looking at major travel impacts. A look ahead, more storms in February. Looking ahead to February, things are only going to get more active. The long range models are showing a very stormy setup through at least the first 2 weeks of the month. We're going to see persistent cold in the north, warmth in the south, and an active storm track in between. That's a perfect recipe for more winter storms and severe weather. A bit of good news. Now, it's not all bad news with this storm system. Over the past 48 hours, Southern California has been getting some much needed rainfall. While rain can be problematic for some areas, especially when it's heavy and leads to flooding, in California, this is actually a huge relief. They've been battling wildfires for months, so this rain helps reduce those risks. So while there's definitely a lot to worry about with this storm, it's also providing some much needed relief in certain regions. There's a chance we could see more snow squalls today, which could drop a visibility to 0 in some areas, especially in Pennsylvania and New York. If you're in the Northeast, be prepared for snow squalls throughout the day. Several inches of snow are expected, particularly in western New York, and even New England will get a few inches. If you have travel plans in these areas, be sure to monitor the weather. As we look ahead to the rest of the week, it's clear that we'll be dealing with multiple rounds of snow. Today marks the first round in the Northeast, but another round will arrive tomorrow, leading to additional snowfall accumulation. By late Wednesday and into Thursday, only light snow will remain before the system moves out. By Thursday, things will calm down temporarily before our focus shifts to the southern plains and the Rockies. On Wednesday, there's a low risk of severe weather across central and southern Texas with isolated damaging winds and hail. However, that's just the beginning. Heavy rainfall is expected in places like Oklahoma and Texas, increasing the risk of flash flooding as we head into Wednesday night and Thursday morning. Snowfall will also affect the Four Corners region, particularly around Colorado. However, this winter storm has shifted westward over the past few days, meaning it likely won't impact the Central Plains or the Midwest as initially expected. Still, I do think we'll see snow in the Midwest and Northeast in early to mid-February, so we'll keep an eye on that. By Thursday morning, the storm will intensify, bringing heavy rain, thunderstorms, and even some severe weather across the Southern Plains, particularly in Texas and Oklahoma. By Thursday afternoon, the storm will move into Arkansas and Louisiana, increasing severe weather risks there as well. Cities like Houston, Austin, and San Antonio will be at the highest risk for severe weather on Thursday, with the potential for damaging winds, hail, and even tornadoes. While the risk isn't extreme, it's something we'll need to monitor closely. As we move into Thursday night and Friday morning, the storm will continue expanding, fueled by warm air from the Gulf of Mexico. This storm is unusual because it's not coming from the north, meaning it won't mix with much cold air. Instead, it's pulling in warm air, leading to mostly rain for a large portion of the U.S. Despite this, some snow will still fall, especially in the Midwest and Northeast. While it won't be a major snowstorm, areas like Chicago, Michigan, and northern New England could see a few inches, which may cause travel disruptions. By Friday afternoon and evening, the storm will continue moving eastward and should exit the coast by Saturday. Beyond that, the exact snowfall amounts and locations remain uncertain, but the Midwest and Northeast are likely to see more snow over the weekend. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss updates as the storm progresses. Looking further ahead, Early signs suggest another storm system could develop around the second weekend of February. The GFS model indicates a potential large storm, but it's still too early to pinpoint exact timing or location. Long-range forecasting is tricky, so we'll have to wait and see how it develops. One of the most significant aspects of this storm is the rainfall, especially in Oklahoma and Texas. These areas could receive 2 to 5 inches of rain, with some spots in southeast Oklahoma potentially seeing up to 7 inches, which could lead to flash flooding. While this rain will help drought conditions, the rapid accumulation could cause localized flooding, particularly in Texas and Oklahoma. The severe weather risk will continue Wednesday, though it doesn't appear to be a major threat at the moment. There's a low chance of isolated severe storms south of Dallas and west of Houston, where damaging winds and hail are possible. However, the tornado risk remains minimal for now. Thursday, however, brings a much higher potential for severe weather. A mesoscale convective system will move across southeast Texas, bringing damaging winds and hail. If supercells develop ahead of the main line, the tornado risk could increase, making this a situation to closely monitor, especially for southeast Texas, Louisiana, and Dixie Alley. By Thursday night and Friday morning, the severe weather threat will shift eastward, but should weaken, with only isolated damaging winds and thunderstorms remaining. If we go live during the storm, you'll receive a notification, so make sure you're subscribed with alerts turned on. Back in the Northeast, snow will remain a major factor tonight and tomorrow. Widespread snowfall of a coating to 3 inches is expected, with higher elevations in New England picking up 2 to 5 inches. In upstate New York, the heaviest snowfall will range between 4 to 8 inches, with some areas possibly seeing up to a foot. Winter storm warnings are in effect, so be prepared if you're in the affected regions. Looking ahead, the GFS ensemble model shows the probability of more than 1 inch of snow between now and February 8th. While most of the country has a low chance, the northern plains and northeast have higher odds. Again, this is early data, so don't take it as a guarantee, but it's a useful starting point. I do expect snow in the Midwest and Northeast on Friday or Saturday, though it shouldn't be anything too extreme. Finally, let's talk about temperatures. Most of the country will see above average temperatures this week, especially in the eastern U.S. The East Coast, Texas, and the Gulf Coast will be 10 to 15 degrees above average by Thursday and Friday. By the weekend, warmer air will push further north, with parts of North Texas possibly reaching the low 70s. However, by Monday and Tuesday, colder air will return, especially in the northern plains. Don't worry about an Arctic blast. This cold front should weaken before becoming too intense. Still, it will bring a noticeable drop in temperatures for northern parts of the country. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit that button and turn on notifications so you don't miss future updates. I'll see you in the next one.